it out that the sun shines down its power to all the world and makes the wind blow strong as it will. I wonder how gentle rains can fall upon the land, so lovely earth can stay lovely still. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 604th edition of Energy Week with George Harvey and Nancy Wolf, who is here.
Hi, I'm back.
I'm excited.
I'm very glad to be back. Yeah.
You're very what?
Very glad.
Glad to be back. Well, I'm glad that you're back. Anyway, this is Energy Week is a compilation of news, an aggregation, it's called, of news for the week. In this case, of the 12th of December to the 18th of December, which, although they're both even numbered, I was always confused by this when I was a kid. I was good at math, but the idea that from the 12th to the 18th was 7 days didn't make sense.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me either.
You're counting both ends. Yeah. Anyway, it's the period that we're working with starts on Thursday, December 12th, and it goes to Thursday, December 18th, Wednesday, December 18th. A full week is Thursday to Wednesday, counting. So, okay, I'm not going to go there anymore. But this all comes from my blog, which is geoharvey.com, and you can go down there, and find a bit.ly link, not a bit.ly link, a tiny URL link to the place where we do the show, where every item that we talk about is there, and you'll get the full synopsis and a picture for every one. And
our first, should we go with the first?
Whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Should I read it? You want to read it?
I'll read it.
Okay.
I'll read
this
it.
is from Clean Technica.
You want to get the image?
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
Not a very exciting image, but...
This headline is Clean Power Capacity Installations up 86% in 2024.
Which is kind of astonishing. Anyway, the American Clean Power Association released a report on clean energy growth in the United States in 2024, highlighting a surge in growth in the third quarter. 10.2 gigawatts of capacity, that's a fair amount of growth. Through the first 3 quarters of the year, 29.6 gigawatts of clean power capacity had been installed in the United States, up 86% from 2023. And one of the things that I've been noticing is these numbers, worldwide, it's a very different number. Europe, it's a very different number. In the United States, 86%. We'll hit some of the others in this.
Yeah.
But they're all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And part of the reason why we're at 86% for the year is because Joe Biden was having the federal government help as much as possible, and the people who wanted to install this were taking advantage of that because they were afraid that Donald Trump would be...
Right. Yeah, exactly. So they're just trying to keep going. Just go. Let's go as fast as we can.
Yes.
Until something happens where we probably won't,
I have no idea where the federal government is going to go. No idea.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that later, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you want to go on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go on.
We have a picture of a strange offshore floating wind turbine. This is a Min-Yang dual turbine from Renews.
Well, it's and the headline is Min-Yang dual turbine floater starts operation.
Min-Yang has commenced operations of a floating foundation designed to host 2 turbines. There you see it in the picture, with a total capacity of more than 16 megawatts. The Ocean X platform is installed at Min-Yang's Yangjiang I don't know. I don't.
King Shu? King Shu?
I don't pronounce.
Ching Shu, I think. I think Ching Shu.
Okay. Anybody who wants to complain about me and my pronunciation of Chinese is allowed.
I've told you I have a film partner who is Taiwanese, so sometimes I can help.
Oh,
sometimes
good.
I can pronounce things
Yeah,
that
okay.
I'm told are correct. So.
Okay, their offshore wind farm, 70 kilometers from the shore, in 40-meter deep water off Guangdong. And I don't think I pronounced a single word in Chinese correctly.
I think Guangdong is probably pretty close.
Pretty close,
Probably.
but you know, people I've known who are
Minyang?
Chinese
Minyang?
always said, "No, you're not
Minyang?
getting the
The essence.
No, what is it? They have tonality.
Tonality, right. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. It's not going to happen. And it's not that I have anything against the Chinese. It's just that I'd have to know how to do that.
Yes.
So, do you have anything to say about? We should talk about this.
I thought, I really like all these sort of offshore
Turbines.
Offshore. Well, I like the offshore solar a lot.
That's getting exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the offshore wind turbines, I think we might be heading for a different world. But in this particular case, the idea is the thing that this stands on is expensive. So they want to get as much power out of that as they can, and they're getting 16 megawatts out of one location, although other organizations are getting, I think it was 22 megawatts. They had a turbine that was 22 megawatts. Okay, should we go on?
Yeah, let's go on.
Okay, we have a lovely picture here of a family in a solar farm.
Yes. Wind and solar researcher says we are actually trying to use the natural variability itself to address the variability, which I thought was fascinating.
I think it is too.
And the thing that I'll let you read the the rest of it. But I have a.
MIT engineers demonstrated how precise mapping of energy use and weather patterns may direct the placement of renewable energy installations with high efficiency in a recent study in the journal Cell Reports Sustainability. So what did you want to say about that?
This is what computers are for. This is what computers are supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like, this is the point.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. As opposed to artificial intelligence.
Yeah, just finding using energy to find where there's. It's like the most amazing thing you could think of. Oh, let's figure out where help is needed.
Yeah.
And then let's go there.
Yes.
I can't imagine anything better.
Well, yeah, and the placement is they're placing these things. I personally right now think we are placing renewable energy installations wrong.
Yep.
We're building installations in Michigan for electricity that's needed in Maine, and that doesn't make sense. And we do have. We've got to a point where transmission lines have a line loss. Modern transmission lines have line losses of 1% per 1,000 kilometers, which is stunning. I mean, 1985, it was 9% per 1,000 miles. And in 1985, you could say that place is too far from this place to send electricity, because if you try to do it, it's not going to be economically feasible. Today, you could send electricity from any place on Earth to any place on Earth if you've got the line installed. But why would you install such a line when you can get the electricity where you need it, almost any place on Earth? I don't know.
Convenience.
Convenience. No, you know what? This is the reason I think, and I might be wrong because I haven't looked into this a lot, but installations of natural gas natural gas pipelines, long transmission lines, and nuclear power plants all use a lot of money. And that's attractive to a person who isn't actually spending his own money, but is working on them. So if you have a company that builds a nuclear power plant, somebody is going to put that money in, and when you say, 8 years later, when the plant's supposed to be done, you say, well, we're only halfway done, and we've used all the money. Are you going to throw your money away and let this plant go into abeyance, and some local politician is going to have a fit and say, well, there's 2,000 people employed on this. We can't just ditch it. And so it gets built.
It's like Yucca Mountain. We'll bring up so many times today.
That's right. Okay.
Okay.
Go on?
Yeah, let's go on.
Let's go on. We're up to Friday, December 13th. Friday the 13th. This is an item from Clean Technica.
It's residential energy storage installations at all-time high in USA.
Now, that picture is not a residential storage. I'm sorry. But anyway, years ago, Ron Corio said that energy storage will be the next big thing since solar power. Well, developments happen quickly, and now it's here to stay. Residential energy storage installations just hit an all-time high, and the U.S. grid-scale energy storage is coming on fierce. Well, residential storage is coming on, and grid-scale storage is coming on, and this is going to be, I don't know, there is going to be a lot of money in this. And one of the things about this is they don't get halfway through the installation and say, I'm sorry, this is not going to happen for $8 billion. I need another $8 billion. Partly because it just doesn't happen that way with solar and storage. I've seen solar installations come in a little bit late or a little bit needing a little bit more money. Almost never. Not never, but almost never. Nuclear, though, it's almost exactly the opposite. It almost always, predictably, is.
Yeah.
Nuclear power has 3 different kinds of numbers. One is accurate. Mm-hmm. Think about that for a second. The second is numbers that are off by a factor of 2 to 3. Those are the ones that relate to costs and the amount of time it's going to take to build the plant. Mm-hmm. And the third one, and this is funny because the nuclear people say that that nuclear power is so safe. The third one is safety analysis. They are overly optimistic by an order of magnitude.
Yes.
And people don't realize this. In the time we've had nuclear power on this planet, all power stations on Earth that are making electricity to put on a power grid, we should have had 1 meltdown. We've had 11 that I know of. Yeah. And I can name them. I'm not going to bore you. Okay. We should go to, this is fun. Look at this thing.
Yeah.
This is an Vestas nacelle. It's big enough to live in.
Yeah, this is the Vesta confirms 1.1 gigawatt inch Cape order.
Inch Cape is the name of the offshore farm.
Yes.
It's the name of an offshore farm.
Yeah.
I was very confused by that when I saw this article.
Yeah.
Who names a place Inch Cape? Well, I'm sorry, Inch Cape was actually there before they named the wind farm.
Yeah.
Okay, Vestas received a firm and unconditional turbine order for ESB and Red Rock Renewables. ESB is the name of a company. For ESB and Red Rock Renewables 1.1 gigawatt Inch Cape wind farm off Scotland. The announcement confirms a conditional agreement signed in September for Vestas to supply, install, and commission 72 of its 15 megawatt turbines. So those are big.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they're probably going to go in at a rate of one going up every other day, because that's what happens. The only thing that I think could keep them from doing that would be if their suppliers failed to supply. Okay, go on.
Yeah, let's go on.
Okay. This is, I'm told, a picture of Rio de Janeiro. I shouldn't say I'm told. I asked my computer, what is that? And it said Rio de Janeiro.
Okay.
And I said, okay, I believe you. I asked Google, of course, but.
Well, this is the Brazilian Senate gives nod to offshore wind bill.
Yep, Brazil's federal Senate passed the country's offshore wind bill, sending the legislation on to the president for final approval. He'll, if he hasn't signed it, he will. Offshore wind represents a huge opportunity for Brazil to play a key role in the global wind industry supply and support the global energy transition on the path to net zero. Somehow I feel like that didn't make sense.
No, my face just made weird faces with that sentence because I just.
It doesn't.
What?
What? Maybe I should try again. Offshore wind represents a huge opportunity for Brazil to play a key role in global wind industry supply and support. And support. There should be a comma after supply.
Yeah.
And support the global energy transition on the path to net zero. Brazil has an enormous amount of renewable electricity, as do other Latin American countries. Costa Rica, it's almost 100% renewable. Paraguay has been way over 100% renewable for years and years and years. Do you know about Paraguay?
I mean, I know that it is. I don't know much other than that it exists.
Yes.
Not as much.
Paraguay has produced about 1,000% of the electricity it needs from renewables for many years. And it has always sold the extra to Argentina and Brazil. And that's, how do you argue with that? But for them, it's been hydropower. Okay, we should probably go on.
Yes, let's go on. Oops.
We're up to Saturday, December 14th.
I did not mean to do that. Okay, there we go.
We're up to Saturday, and this is a picture of a geothermal power plant. This particular power plant is, I believe, in Iceland. But this is Eurasian Times, and they're talking about Asia and China.
Yeah, they're talking, India and China to dominate world's geothermal energy as coal usage goes down.
Well, sorry, coal usage is not going down. Not in India and China.
No.
The International Energy Agency forecasts that China and India are well positioned to become dominant players in the global geothermal energy sector as both nations look to reduce their dependence on coal and embrace clean energy sources. So the people at the International Energy Agency seem to think that coal is declining in India and China, and it's not declining in either.
No.
And in fact, we're back to that thing about building nuclear power plants to power artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And by the way, Microsoft and Amazon have both said we're not going to do that.
Have they?
Yeah. The problem is the press doesn't understand something about nuclear power. And that is, yes, Microsoft says it wants to resurrect 3 Mile Island. That isn't building a new power plant. That's taking advantage of an old one.
Yep.
When nuclear is paid off, the electricity it produces is very cheap. Almost as cheap as solar and wind, with battery backup. But its power is very cheap. The problem is it takes a long time to pay that plant down. And as that's happening, it costs, solar and wind is like, they're both below 4 cents per kilowatt hour. New nuclear, NextEra said they don't expect even small modular reactors to be able to produce new nuclear at under 10.5 cents. So why would anybody do that? You know, NextEra is saying near firm solar and near firm wind are both going to cost less than 4 cents per kilowatt hour. And nuclear is just never going to be able to match that.
Yeah.
And then that doesn't take into account Price Anderson and storage of waste fuel. So
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Then we using my favorite words, Price Anderson.
well,
yeah.
So yeah, okay. Go on.
Yeah, let's go on.
We have a picture of a floating solar project.
This is the largest floating solar power plant in India is turned on.
Yeah. The largest floating solar power systems are making their way to ever more places, but they get larger in places where they already have a presence. The latest example is India, which has just turned on the 126 megawatt, I'm going to try, Omkareshwar. That sounds
pretty
good.
right. Yeah.
Floating solar project. It's largest floating solar plant so far. You know, when I try to work with these languages that I don't know, I think of Welsh.
Yeah.
Which is a wonderful language. And one of my favorite sentences in Welsh is Pwy ydi hwnnw, which is who is that man? And it is one of my favorites because of the way it's spelled. Mm-hmm. Pwy, which means who, is P-W-Y. Ydi is Y-D-Y, that means is. And hwnnw, which means that man, is H-W-N-N-W. So, I'm sorry, if you're Chinese or Indian and I don't make it, the reason is because I learned Welsh.
Right. Well, you know, I think honestly, I think every single culture, it's if you try, that's all that anyone ever really cares about is that you try to like
that you tried to do the best you could.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and I don't know Welsh. You've heard one of the 4 sentences I know, but it really does kind of give a good example of why pronunciation, and English is the worst. English pronunciation is awful. Okay, we should go on.
Let's go on.
Did we got that? Did we discuss that enough?
I mean, I think I sort of already sort of mentioned that I like the floating solar projects.
Yeah.
And and that's what I was, I thought this was.
This is one of the things that I would say about this is I've heard people attack agrivoltaics because they don't want arsenic and cadmium in their food. And arsenic and cadmium are present in something like 40% of American solar panels, which means 60% don't have it. So the easiest way to keep the arsenic and cadmium out of the food is just have a law that says you're not allowed to put solar panels that have arsenic and cadmium on a farm field.
Yeah.
Well, this might be like that, and soldering with lead, it might make sense to do things a different way for the protection of the fish that are going to live under this, because there's going to be fish under this.
Yep.
And in a reservoir of that size, you could have a fish farm, a big fish farm, living under the solar panels. And by the way, one of the things I came across today, I think, was a story about how aquaculture is going to be powered by floating solar and wave energy.
Wow.
Yeah. And if they've got this set up right, aquaculture is going to produce good food. And if they don't have it set up right, it's not going to produce good food. But that's not a matter of how it's powered. That's more a matter of what they feed the fish. So, on we go.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh, I love this picture.
Good.
I like weather.
Heavy rain. Scientists are sound the alarm over concerning change in natural weather phenomena.
Yeah, Australia's Weather Bureau issued a dire state of the climate report. I think state of the climate should probably be capitalized, but it isn't here. A result of raising the planet's temperature is the supercharging of certain forms of extreme weather. Australia faces more intense short-term rainfall events as the world warms. This is from the cool down. And it's like 4% more water for every degree Fahrenheit is held in the air. So you add 4 degrees Fahrenheit, it'll hold 16% more water, and of course that means 16% more rain under circumstances that, you know. And one of the things is climate is not the same as weather, as you know.
Yeah.
Our viewers should know that, but if you have a rainstorm on a day or cold weather on a day, that's not climate. That's just the day's weather. And the way that I tell people the difference between climate and weather is, we have 8,000 weather stations in the United States, and we're probably, most days we're probably going to set a record at least one of them for heat or cold. The fact that you set records for heat or cold doesn't mean that it's getting hotter or colder. But if you find that twice as many weather stations set records for heat predictably, day after day, than set records for cold, you know that things are getting warmer. And the ratio is not 2 to 1, it's 9 to 1. We've got, this is way out of control. And yeah, I go on Sunday. We're up to Sunday, December 15th, and we have a picture of Nevada. And I just want to tell you, 100% of Nevada looks just like that.
I know. I've been to Nevada. I've been through Nevada.
Oh man. Yeah, and
just
Reno doesn't look like that, and
right.
You know, the cities don't look anything
Vegas
like
doesn't.
What?
Vegas doesn't look
Vegas doesn't look like that. No.
But so this article, I had a lot of comments on this.
Okay.
It's the renewable energy boom is remaking the American West.
This is from Type Investigations. I have no idea what that is.
I do know them, actually. I know them personally.
Oh, do you?
I do, yeah.
Wow.
They're were sort of in the Nation office.
Oh.
And so they're sort of along the similar lines. I pitched stories to them before, and they're really good people. But this one's also Insight Climate News, so it's a partnership.
Okay.
So what they do is they get funding from an organization, and then they fund the journalism.
So what's the title?
So the title is Renewable Energy Boom is Remaking the American West.
Yes, in Nevada, plans are moving ahead for transmission lines, solar farms, geothermal plants, and more in the name of fighting climate change. Even among environmental groups and government officials, the projects are controversial. Support for it seems not to relate to political party. And that is something that I have seen over and over again in the West, where Democrats, Republicans will join on trying to deal with climate issues and energy issues on the local level. It's a very hopeful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thoughts on this are essentially that this article is talking about Nevada.
Yes.
I'm gonna switch cameras.
It's also all of this stuff is true of Colorado
as well, but Nevada, it just so reminds me of the nuclear industry or nuclear weapons industry, of using the West as its own.
Nobody lives there. It's okay to blow it up.
It's fine. We can just blow it up. But you know, this article really follows this this conservationist with the Center for Biodiversity, and he's talking about the fisheries and all,
Yeah.
But this article also points out some maybe controversy going on with the Bureau of Land Management and
Yes.
these companies, and
Yes.
getting in bed with these companies, and that how is this any different? It's the privatization of public land. Just when you're taking public land for a pipeline, you're still taking public land.
You're still taking public land, and
and
that when you're leasing public land for oil removal, you're taking public land.
And they're telling customers that they're not going to be paying for the investment, and then behind their back going to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission and asking permission to tax the electric bills of the customers. So they're saying they won't do it, but then they're actually going behind their back and doing it anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
I could go on forever on this one, but
Well, do you have more that you want to say?
oh, sure. The federal government has failed to adequately consider this impact on the environment, this plan, this Green Link West plan, and that reminds me of almost every other environmental project that they do, all the nuclear stuff. Do they actually think about what happens to the environment? Maybe they think about it, they learn about it, and then they decide that it's not that important.
It's not relevant.
Right, it's not.
And if you happen to destroy the 100% of the water for a tribe of Indians, who cares?
Right. So that's, yeah.
Okay.
Those are all my comments.
Okay.
That's a good one.
We are up to. Okay. This is from Clean Technica.
Yeah.
We have a picture of wind turbines, and these, I believe, are in Ukraine.
Yes. Oh, yes. I liked this one. War, wind power, and the green way forward for Ukraine.
When Russia launched its attack on Ukraine in February of 2022, one of the first energy resiliency cracks to emerge was within the Ukrainian nuclear fleet. Now, the energy planners in Ukraine are turning to wind power and other renewable resources for energy security and resilience. And this, I think, it really speaks to what's wrong with nuclear power.
Yes.
It doesn't matter whether it's small modular reactor or a traditional reactor or anything.
I almost feel like this article is like the house is on fire article. Like, look, they bombed our nuclear facilities.
Yes.
Look, the worst thing happened, and what are we doing now? Oh, let's pivot and do something that might actually be helpful.
The nuclear power plants, and you don't imagine that you're going to be in a war 3 years from now, sometimes. Yeah. But you could be. And the nuclear power plants are big, horrible targets.
Exactly.
And,
like a big, like dynamite.
Yeah. And in the old days, they used to talk about, they still do, about dirty bombs.
Yeah.
Well, a nuclear power plant is a dirty bomb that just needs a trigger mechanism to set it off.
Yeah.
So you build that for a reason. Well, again, we're in a position where Ukrainians are starting to see they get energy security out of wind turbines, and they get energy security out of solar and other forms of renewable energy that they don't get out of nuclear. Nuclear is just a liability.
Yes.
What is the name of the nuclear power plant?
Which one?
The one with 6 reactors. It's the biggest nuclear plant in Europe, and the Russians hold it.
Oh.
My mind isn't working. I'm thinking Voronezh, but it isn't Voronezh. It's Zaporizhia.
Zaporizhia, yeah.
Okay, and that plant
Yeah.
Is the Russians took it over?
They took it over. I mean, that was my my nightmare. Was that moment was my nightmare?
Yeah.
That's the nightmare.
If they want to defeat the Ukrainians, that is the one thing that they've done that was smart.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
This war, I think, would probably be over if they hadn't taken that plant over.
Right. No, but that's it's a liability.
It's a huge liability.
Yeah.
Okay, we're a little behind now.
Okay.
This is a really good picture of lenticular clouds.
Researchers sound the alarm after discovering fingerprint following recent extreme weather events. I love things like this.
Yeah. This is from the Cool Down. A study showed that scientists can now spot the fingerprint of climate change on extreme weather events. Well, truthfully, they've been finding this fingerprint for years, but they're just doing better and better at it. An analysis showed the shocking impacts of the climate crisis on the most deadly weather storms from the last 20 years. So they've got a new study, they've looked at it, and they have seen the results of climate change, and the scientists are just saying, there it is. And the one thing that I think really kind of explains this better than anything else is Hurricane Harvey that hit Texas years ago. There were areas in Hurricane Harvey that flooded that were not in 500-year flood zones. How do you do that? And the answer to that is Hurricane Harvey didn't behave like hurricanes before it.
Yeah.
It was very slow moving, and it dropped an enormous amount of rain that other storms didn't drop. And both of those are related to the fact that it happened in a time of climate change, but especially the fact that it had all that rain. And you know, if 1 degree Fahrenheit is going to increase the amount of rain 4%, what percentage of rainfall is increased when the Gulf of Mexico is 5 degrees warmer than normal? And we're in a different age. We're in an age where a hurricane is going to be more powerful. It's going to drop more water. It's just different.
We're edging into our Anthropocene. Edging into
we
it.
are, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay, we should move ahead. We're up to Monday, December 16th, and we have a picture of wind turbines from Enercon and an article from Renews.
Yeah. So Enercon scores Romanian turbine deal. We love turbines.
Enercon is to supply 7 turbines for the 38 megawatt wind project in Romania. By the way, my brother lived in Africa, and he said in Liberia, where people speak English, there is a saying, when in Rome, do as the Romanians do. Okay. The German manufacturer will supply 7 E160 EP5 turbines for customer smart power Generation Alpha. The order, Enercon's first Romanian order in 12 years, is a project for Kudalbi Galati in the east part of the country. So, you know, this was something that I included mostly because I like the picture. But it is typical of wind farms that are being put up in all over the world, really, but a lot of them go up in Europe. Okay. Here we have, right smack dab in the middle of that picture, is a guy climbing a ladder. And that'll give you a pretty good idea of how big this structure is.
GE Vernova AMD dry docks to deliver Ostwind 4.
Now, can you say that again in English? Okay. This is from Renews. 50 hertz, and I should explain to people, 50 hertz is the name of a German utility.
Right, yes.
And it actually covers the area that used to be East Germany. Basically, that's what it is. selected GE Vernova and Dry Docks, name of another company, Dry Docks World, to deliver the 2 gigawatt Ostwind 4 grid connection in the German Baltic Sea. GE Vernova and Dry Docks World are to build the DC converter system, and there you see a converter platform. This guy is climbing a ladder onto a 2 gigawatt converter. This is incredible, which will comprise 2 converters, one at sea, one on land, for the Ostwind 4 project. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. I will go on.
Let's go on.
We have a picture of the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This one.
And this is from MSN.
It's the Gulf Stream is on the verge of collapsing. Climate scientists warn.
Well, we've heard this before, and I think, given the data that I've seen, it looks like it's been kind of going slowly and getting worse. And I don't know how much longer it can go worse before it just stops altogether. In an open letter, 44 leading climate scientists say the key Atlantic Ocean currents, including the Gulf Stream, are on the brink of failure. On the brink. The scientists warn that the collapse of the Atlantic Meridional I'm sorry, I'm not pronouncing that right, but I don't speak English. Atlantic Meridional overturning circulation could lead to devastating impacts. Yes, it could lead to devastating impacts. It could change everything all over the world. It could put us suddenly into an ice age.
Yeah, they say devastating and irreversible impacts, which will affect the entire world for centuries to come. For centuries.
And, if you want to make a lot of money, then don't worry about this. Just pump oil. Drill, baby, drill.
There's so many issues with this one, including they bring up an increase of climate refugees and escalating geopolitical tensions.
Increase of climate refugees. I could see half the people in the world suddenly becoming climate refugees, and somebody's got to feed those people.
Yes, exactly. And then additionally, they're arguing that this could cause an upheaval of marine ecosystems and fisheries, which is what
probably will. And
before.
I'll tell you one thing that they haven't said in there.
Yeah.
It's going to absolutely destroy the value of Exxon stock.
Yeah.
This is not a good thing to be invested in. And it
Under
is
a big effing deal on my
Okay, thank you for not pronouncing that out loud. Okay, we are up to Tuesday, December 17th. And by the way, we have no idea what's going to happen with this thing. And I have a thought that what it's going to do is going to be to set up an alternating current, by which I mean a current that takes an alternate route. I don't know. I don't know how you could have the temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico, and if you're not clearing that out up the Gulf Stream, where are you going to put it? Oh man, the hurricanes we could have in this country would be unbelievable. We're up to Tuesday, December 17th.
So this is kind of what we were sort of talking about, maybe a little, no, never mind. Scratch that. EU solar growth slows, raising fears for energy transition.
We did talk about that earlier in the show. This is from MSN. The growth of solar power installations in Europe slumped to just 4% this year. I'm going to explain that. You're probably going to get it wrong if I don't explain it. After years of double-digit increases, industry data shows the 65.5 gigawatts installed, while a record, is just 4% more than what was installed in 2023. In other words, it's 4% growth. This is still growing. It is still setting records for the greatest amount going in. Yeah. But it is raising concerns about the EU's clean energy transition.
Yeah.
So, okay, should we go on? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that they're all almost cumulatively kind of in almost a theme today.
Yeah, well, that happens. We have an item from oilprice.com.
It's Chinese coal power generation rises despite renewables jump. So this kind of dovetails off of that earlier article.
Yes. Despite growing renewable energy capacity installations, thermal power generation in China, which comes mostly from coal-fired power plants, rose in January and through November, between January and November, by 1.9% from the same period a year earlier, according to Chinese statistics data. Now, this is a little bit sloppy, the way that they're doing this, because thermal power includes coal, natural gas, and nuclear. So, Chinese have been adding nuclear plants. I don't know whether coal power is actually rising. And I just realized that as I read and by the way, people, I have seen the publication oilprice.com referred to as a pro-oil, pro-gas place, and it isn't. They're talking about the price. They're not talking about keeping them going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next one.
What?
This is a fun one.
Yes, this is Clean Technica.
It's EVs create more jobs than fossil fuel vehicles.
Wow. A study published by the University of Michigan researchers earlier this year found that automotive assembly jobs increased a lot, as much as 10 times, with EV production as opposed to building internal combustion vehicles. That is not what they expected, because EVs have fewer parts. They've got a lot to do to build these EVs, and a lot of that is building batteries. A lot of it is building, they have to build plants, among other things.
Yeah.
Okay, we're up to Wednesday, and this picture is a picture of Ohio. And my Aunt Ruth used to live in southern Ohio, and she said it's very much like Vermont.
This picture looks like Vermont.
Well, except there's no hills.
Right.
And she said, She
yeah.
said the hills in southern Ohio look like the hills in Vermont or New Hampshire.
Wow. Well, Amazon is investing another $10 billion in Ohio-based data centers.
Okay, I'm not sure we should let them do that.
Yeah, I agree with you, George. Very much with you there.
All right, this is from ABC News. Amazon Web Services will invest another $10 billion, almost enough to put up a nuclear reactor. I'm sorry. Almost enough to start putting up a nuclear reactor.
And then later...
Another 10.
Yeah.
Or 20.
To
bolster its data center infrastructure in Ohio. The company said exact sites had not been determined yet, and noted its investment plans are contingent on the execution of long-term energy service agreements. Now, I want to say Amazon and Microsoft, I think it's Amazon and Microsoft, are two companies that I saw had both said they are not interested in nuclear for their AI data centers. They want renewable energy firmed by batteries. Yeah.
That would be, I hope that's that. I don't trust. What? Okay.
The thing is, it makes sense to put up renewable energy in batteries. The thing that doesn't make sense to me is putting up artificial intelligence centers, the way that they're planning on doing it. And I will say, they're talking about neural networks. And neural networks, I used to be in the computer industry, and neural networks are kind of modeled after human intelligence. So do you want a computer that makes the same mistakes you do? Or, whatever. But the amount of energy that they need to keep these things going is just monumental. And I think for a lot of this, there are better ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
those ways might be artificial intelligence, but not this kind of artificial intelligence. And I just don't see it.
Yeah.
And I actually had a patent at one time on one of those ways. It ran out.
It ran out. Okay, right. Yeah. Why would you? Yeah.
Nobody wants it. But that's what it is. So should we go on? I think we probably should. We're a little bit ahead of schedule now, but there we go.
Okay.
This is a Vestas wind turbine and a rising or setting sun. I can't tell which. Sometimes you can tell if you've got solar panels in a picture, and if you know whether that picture was taken north or south of the equator, you can figure out where that sun is setting and or rising. Okay.
This is first 20 Vestas turbines installed at 220 megawatt North Kyle.
Okay, North Kyle is a place. This article is from Renews. Scottish developer Brockwell Energy reminds me of the name Brocklehurst. You recognize the name Brocklehurst?
No.
Mr. Brocklehurst was a character in Jane Eyre.
Oh.
Who owned a needle factory.
I see.
And he provided the very generous money that was used to support the school that Jane Eyre was in, where all the girls died of whatever disease it went through. And he was relieved of his... Anyway, Brockwell. Sorry. Scottish developer Brockwell Energy has reached a milestone at its flagship 220 megawatt North Kyle wind farm in East Ayrshire with the installation of the first 20 Vestas turbines. The 29 turbine project is being built on the site of one of the largest former coal mining sites in Scotland.
Fascinating.
And that's important because these coal mining sites, actually Vermont Yankee is like this too. Coal mining sites, nuclear sites, natural gas sites, any of these thermal sites, it doesn't even have to be thermal. They just have if you have a massive generating site, you've got a site that has electric lines coming in and going out. Well, coming in, going out, originally they were designed to go out. But if you have a thing that's closing down, like a coal plant, the electric lines that supplied coal to the power to the grid from the coal plant would also supply something you put there with power from the grid.
Yeah.
So if you put in a huge battery system there, that's a useful thing. You've got something that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so this is a 29 turbine project which is being built on the site of one of the largest coal mining sites. I'm sorry, I was thinking coal burning sites.
Oh.
This is coal mining.
Coal mining. Yeah.
I don't know I should have looked to see what kind of coal mine it was, because if it's an open pit mine, they're probably just putting in 49 turbines because that's what it'll hold. Those open pit mines, there was an open pit mine going into Germany along the Polish border, and when I read about this and I looked into it, and I don't remember the name of the mine, but it was going to produce lignite for a power system that was there. That mine was going to be just about twice as big as the island of Manhattan. So, forest cut down, land dug up, villages that included buildings that had been built in the Middle Ages, cut down, bulldozed, and for lignite, so that they could pollute the air.
Yeah. I mean, that's also, but that's every mine. That's any mining town. That's so many stories that are. I mean, I can tell you about places I've been to.
Yeah.
You know,
I used to live in a mining area in New Jersey, and you would never guess that it was a mining area.
Oh, I see.
It was called Chester, but just the next town over was Ironia, because they mined iron.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the fact that Picatinny Arsenal was put where it was in New Jersey was because of the iron mines,
right?
And the
material.
Material. It was right there. It was cheaper. It was cheaper to import iron from Sweden than it was to get iron from other places in the United States, except for those little mines around there. The one thing that happened every once in a while, and I knew a woman this happened to, she said she heard this awful noise from her garage. And what had happened was the mine had collapsed under her house. She didn't even know it was there, producing a sinkhole, and her car was 2 stories down. So, you know, you're right. There are reasons to complain about mines. Okay, here's our last story.
Yes.
A picture of a Ford Mustang Mach-E.
It's this Ford Mustang Mach-E wins top safety pick award.
Yeah, there it is. This is from Clean Technica. The Ford Mustang Mach-E is the 3rd best-selling electric vehicle in the United States this year, only trailing the Tesla Model Y and the Tesla Model 3. And by the way, I think those two are going to see sales drops in the United States. Now there's more good news about Ford's first serious EV offering. First serious? Yes, the first serious is the Mach-E that's already there. It won a Top Safety Pick Plus award from the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. Now, the Ford vehicle is not the only vehicle to win that award. And I think the Tesla vehicles also won it. But, you know, here you've got, I don't want to call Ford a newcomer compared to Tesla, because it's exactly the reverse.
Hello, Henry Ford.
What can I say?
Yeah.
But there it is. And so, you know, a friend of mine would not buy a Ford. And this is, he died 5 years ago, but over his entire life, he would not buy a Ford, not even used.
Yeah.
And the reason was because Henry Ford was anti-Semitic.
Yeah. Yeah, I was reading, actually, just randomly, a friend of mine, we were talking about Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera, and they did work that was to counter Ford and his anti-Semitism.
Was that the mural that went up in
I think so.
New York City?
And there was like a whole movie about that mural going up and everything. And I think that's it. But it's just, my brain, I wade in this world a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I had, I don't know, I kind of looked into what Ford was doing, and I think he probably went to Germany and shook Hitler's hand. But certainly Edward VIII had done that as Prince of Wales, went to Germany and shook Hitler's hand on a couple of occasions.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, I think we lucked out on his, I think Wallace Simpson was kind of a gift to human beings.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay, time to go.
Okay, time to go.
And we are wishing to everybody have a superbly enjoyable week.
Yes.
And we will say goodbye.
Goodbye.
For the week, and come back next time.
Yeah.